Well, there's been another hack, and this one is yet another big one. In fact, this may be one of the biggest yet. So last time around, we were talking about the SolarWinds hack, and you can look for that video. But this time, we've got a much bigger one, because this does not require that you use SolarWinds at all. Now, first things first, I want to start with the good news. This hack is limited to organizations that run their own Microsoft Exchange email servers. Usually, these are going to be at their own offices. Sometimes they may put them in a data center, but this does not affect Office 365. It, in most cases, doesn't seem to affect many, but we're not sure at all, third-party hosted Exchange services. So let me give you the timeline first of what happened, because this one's really big. Now, this was first disclosed January 6th of this year. There's a problem, though. You may remember that January 6th, something else big happened in Washington, D.C. I just can't put my finger on it. Anyway, because of that, this did not get a lot of publicity at the time. It actually got publicity a couple of months later when Microsoft finally released a patch for this on March 2nd to go ahead and then block this exploit. Now, what was happening is, through this exploit, any organization that has their own Microsoft Exchange email server, their Office, again, this does not affect Microsoft Office 365 or Microsoft 365 cloud services. If you use that for your email, you're fine, don't need to worry. But a lot of organizations still run their own email servers based on Exchange. Small ones, big ones, medium ones, everyone in between. So what happens with this exploit is that these hackers are able to gain access to not just the email system. And, you think about all the confidential email information we have in emails. That's bad enough. But they were also able to exploit this and then gain access to other systems on the network. They were able to install things like web shells and all sorts of other hacking tools to be able to gain persistent access into a network and elevate their privileges. The big thing to remember with all these hacks is it's not what initially hackers can get access to. It's what these exploits and these problems allow them to gain access to otherwise. Just think about it, like somebody breaking into your home. Do you really care if they take your back door because you left that open? No, you can get another back door. Maybe some rain gets in or something like that. That's the worst thing that happens. Do you care if, let's say, off your back door, there's nothing there but just a small little kind of porch area where you take off your shoes and keep a lot of junk there? No. What you care about is then if the other doors are open in your house and they're able to get in and steal your valuables or do damage to your home inside. That's what you care about. So with these hacks, these are the same things. Right now, we're estimating that over 100,000 businesses worldwide have been affected, and we don't know the full extent. Now, Microsoft, to their credit, has released a tool that makes it easy to see if you're vulnerable. Again, you only need to run that if you have Microsoft Exchange servers in your organization. Now, you'll know that easily enough, or your IT folks will. Thankfully, more businesses have gone with things like Office 365 or Google's, I think it's called Workspace now. They keep changing the name. It used to be Google Apps, but I think it's called Workspace now. Those sorts of cloud email services. And those are not vulnerable. But that's still a big deal because these hackers have access to emails. And as with any hack, the initial hackers who conducted it, and right now the Biden administration and security experts are thinking that it's China, so that an investigation has been launched. They're not the only ones to exploit this. Once this gets out and this information gets out, well, guess what? Other hackers can use this sort of thing to do damage. That's how significant this is. That's how big a deal this is. So just imagine that your entire organization is compromised. In fact, most security researchers say, assume if you're running Exchange servers, that your organization has been fully compromised. Now, that's bad enough, but we've got another layer that makes this absolutely horrifying, and that's that you need a proper incident response from trained cybersecurity professionals to be able to figure out what was taken, what the hackers have access to. So once you apply that patch, that's great. But then they've probably already installed other software that enables them to have persistent access. So you've got to figure out where that is. Your standard antivirus software is not going to detect this. In fact, if your tools didn't already detect it, then you know that those are not good enough, and you're going to need other forensic analysis, what have you, to deal with that. Problem is, we're already facing a cybersecurity cybersecurity shortage in terms of we've got a ton of open positions. We don't have enough people to fill them. So it's not a jobs issue. We have the jobs. We don't have the skilled people to do it. And this is already straining teams, especially after the SolarWinds hack. This is a big deal. So I'm hopeful that 2021 is finally the year we realize just the dangers that this poses and start to implement significant controls, penalties, all sorts of things here to better secure us. But I'd be lying if I said I had much hope. So what do you need to do if you've got a Microsoft Exchange server, one or more, in your organization? Well, first things first, you've got to patch that. Second thing is you need to find Microsoft's bulletin on that, where they outline steps on how you can do a scan and start to see where you might be vulnerable. And third, you've got to get a cybersecurity team, if you can, in there to remediate. But the other thing is you need to seriously consider taking critical systems offline until you do this. I know it's no fun, but that's how serious this is, because every minute it's more time that hackers have access to your system, more data they could be exfiltrating, really more issues. So this is a big deal. It's probably going to get worse. And the worst thing is we're just at the start here, March of 2021. There's surely more to come. But sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but I wanted to explain this because I've gotten questions from our own clients about this. Thankfully, we don't have any clients who run their own Exchange servers and haven't had those for several years. But it's still something that businesses large and small still do. And you need to get that patch. You need to get protected if you're at all vulnerable. And you need to just stay on top of the news as well, because these things have a tendency where early information is often wrong or limited in scope. And by what I mean by that is that somebody will come out and say, hey, this was affected. We're checking this. Well, people just hear this is affected. I'm not running that. I'm good. Only to find out that something else is compromised. And you also need to, of course, as you always do, be checking about things like your identity protection, those sorts of things, because an organization you do business with could be compromised. And they're probably just trying to keep their heads above water dealing with this, haven't had time to notify you, and you could have other significant issues there. So some things to keep in mind. Guys, I'm sorry it's the bearer of bad news here, but wanted to get a quick video up on this, let you know. I'll be back, again, I'm sure, for the next breach, hopefully with a bit more news and some good tips next time for my next video. So guys, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later.